Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Hobby Night's AEW Dynamite Review Podcast. I am joined today, as always, by the Chaos Cultist. Hello, how are you doing today, sir?
Hello, I'm doing all right. I've had better days.
I understand, I understand.
You ever have one of those days where like you really think you're gonna get a lot done and just every attempt to actually do anything productive just kind of felt like it failed?
I have had some of those days before. I completely get where you're coming from.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
where I am.
I understand completely. Well, hopefully, I don't know if tonight's AEW Dynamite specifically helped at all with your mood or anything, but we did have a okay AEW Dynamite, as well as some interesting news from Tony Khan that we will be talking about on today's episode.
Yes. I was gonna
Yes.
say, did you want to talk immediately about like the announcement and everything with Collision,
I think
or
we
did you
should. I
want to
think we
wait
should
until
start with
or we can
Collision.
talk about when Tony announced it?
I think we should just go ahead and jump straight into talking about the Collision announcement, our feelings on it, like what it is and all of that, and then we'll jump into the episode afterwards. Cause like the episode tonight just I
It was a
thought
good episode. I liked it.
it was a good episode, but it felt a little house showy to me personally. But
If
we'll
you
talk
didn't
about
count the
that.
last 15 minutes, that may be true.
Yes, yeah, except for maybe the last 15 minutes or so. But we'll get into that in a bit. I do think we should talk about Collision first because it is official now. We are getting AEW Collision on TBS. Is that correct?
Yes, on
On
Saturdays
Saturdays,
now.
I remember it's 7 p.m. Central because it's going to end up being 5 p.m. for us, which I think means it's
Yes.
9 p.m. Eastern. And
No, that would be 8.
or 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. So 8 p.m. Eastern, 7 p.m. Central. And it's a brand new show, like television show for AEW, which on one hand is incredibly exciting.
I'm sorry, that's the wrong acronym. It is, in fact, a show for one CM Punk.
Yeah. Yeah. It is. It is going to be a show for CM Punk.
All right, yeah, but just to be clear, so Collision is their new Saturday show. It's debuting on Saturday, June 17th, at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. I guess it would be 4 a.m. for those in the
Ooh,
UK.
I'm so sorry about that.
And by a number of accounts, there is going to be a fairly hard brand split of talent between AEW Dynamite and Collision. I'm not clear on how Rampage will fit into
Yeah,
that.
I'm not clear on that either. I don't feel like it was talked about much in regards to this announcement.
I kind of get the impression that Rampage will continue as part of the Dynamite tapings because with Dark and Dark Elevation canceled,
Hmm.
they don't have necessarily a pre-show anymore.
That's true. Yeah.
So I could see Rampage, which unfortunately means Rampage will even more so become the WWF heat of
Oh my god, yeah, it
AEW. But
really is. I think we were watching Wrestle Talk and they compared it to Main Event, and both of those are not really things you want to
I
be
would
compared
rather
to.
be heat. I would rather be heat.
You know what? That's fair. That's fair.
So heat, so because you never watched Heat.
No, I never
Heat was
watched Heat.
when
Was like Saturday or was Sunday Night Heat like a well that over would so did they must not have had it during pay-per-views?
no, actually, so that's the thing about it, and that's why I enjoyed it as a kid, because I remember watching Sunday Night Heat during the Attitude Era in the late 90s.
Okay.
And what it was it was on weekly on
Hmm.
Sundays, but like most weeks, it was just a pre-taped, like you said, like main event or a little, I think comparable to Rampage now.
Okay.
Of
Yeah,
like, does
actually
anything,
Sheldon in chat also agreed with you that it's Rampage is more like Sunday Night Heat.
yeah. But what they used to do in the WWF is when there was a pay-per-view,
Hmm.
Heat was the pre-show. So
Ah.
you would tune in on
Okay.
USA Network in the US to watch Sunday Night Heat, and especially back then, it was actually pretty good television because they really wanted you to go buy that $50 in 1998 pay-per-view. And so like something really dramatic, especially to like 11-year-old me,
Right.
would happen like, that's when, Stone Cold would get abducted by The Undertaker before his championship match that night against Vince McMahon's Authority.
I was about to
And it's
ask if Sunday Night Heat was where they were able to like do some narrative moments, especially since it ended up being the pre-show and something they'll lead into a pay-per-view. If they ended up doing some of their narrative moments for their pay-per-view during that section that led into it. And it kind of sounds
yeah,
like
so
they did.
yeah, especially during the Austin era.
Is that
It
when
was
the like milk thing happened with the milk truck or the
the
beer
milk truck
truck? I
was
know
Kurt
like
Angle. It might have been. I mean, the beer truck I think happened on Raw.
okay, was that what like that was more of a big
Yeah,
show event?
that was a Raw thing. But like what would end up happening is normally the baby face would end up in like a very perilous situation
Got it.
or very like where did they go? What
Ugh.
are they up to? You have to buy the pay-per-view to find
Find
out.
out. Got it. So they used it as
And
also just a giant advert.
oh yes, absolutely.
Makes
That was
sense. I mean,
absolutely the point.
why would you not do that? That is what the pre-show's for, right?
Yep. And so I kind of feel like that's what Collision is going to make Rampage, because Collision is by all accounts going to be a core roster
Yep.
of pretty big talent.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Obviously
we
that
saw a few people
Mhm.
who are going onto it, and it included people who have been off Dynamite for quite a while, like
Miro,
Thunder Rosa, Miro. Um,
Andrade.
but we did also see in the poster that the champions seem to be crossing over as well.
Yeah, I think that was a part of the Warner Brothers announcement earlier in the day, or at least I don't remember where exactly the information I heard came from, so I'm not going to quote any source.
Hmm.
But what I have heard through the hearsay
Yes.
is that there is a fairly hard brand split. I don't think they're going to like advertise it the same way WWE does.
Right.
But for example, Miro will probably only appear on
Collision.
Collision.
Hmm.
Um, but the people who get the titles will float between the shows. So if Miro ends up getting the TNT title, or if he ends up getting, the heavyweight title, then he may float again between the
Got
shows.
it.
But they don't seem like they're going to take it the WWE draft way. Like, we're not going to publicly announce that Miro is exclusive to Collision. It's just going to be more of a you tune in on Saturday, and that's where Miro is.
Right. Okay, I mean that does make sense, and it's kind of an interesting way to handle it, especially considering everybody that seems to be announced for Collision who isn't a champion and can therefore go between is people who have just like had issues with others in Dynamite. And so it was also, and I'm actually not super surprised by this, but it was
Hmm.
interesting that they have not told us where the event is going to take place, where the event for the 17th is going to actually happen yet, and the fact that CM Punk was not actually listed, even though everybody is convinced that it's basically meant to be the CM Punk show. Do you think they're just trying to, keep the worst kept secret?
It does seem weird since we're a month away and they haven't started selling tickets yet.
Yeah. Like that was the thing that was really odd to me about it, because in tonight's Dynamite, Tony Khan gave more information about Collision and showcased some of the locations future shows are going to happen. But the one place he didn't talk about where it was going to be was the premiere show. And I like it's kind of everybody seems to think that it's going to be Chicago. And I honestly don't disagree with that thought process, especially considering everyone's expecting Punk to be on this show. Um, but it's so weird to me that they haven't started announcing that so that they can start like selling tickets and talking about it, because I feel like this is just something like if you have him coming back, just announce it so that people will buy into the show more. Why not like set it on fire to begin with and really make people invested in I have to watch this first show by guaranteeing that we know he's going to be there. Also, I wanted to call out that a couple people in chat were saying that the milk truck and the beer truck were both on Raw. So apparently I was completely off with that.
Okay, well, my bad. I wasn't sure about the milk truck.
No, that's absolutely fair. I wasn't sure either. I just remembered seeing it. I knew it was a spoof on the beer truck. But I could totally see it being something that happened maybe on like a really elaborate pre-show. Because I couldn't remember the context of it happening. But yeah, it's just Collision is going to be an interesting venture. Like a Saturday show, I feel bad for all the Wrestle News people like across the board for AEW pushing stuff into their weekends where they already have to cover like so much news on so many different days.
I was gonna say, who is it? Tempest who has to work Saturday right now?
I think it's Tempest and Sat.
Mm-hmm.
So my assumption is that they're going to be doing something with it, but who knows? Like, I guess it depends on how big it is and who they want to have covering it. But I do feel bad for
outside
them.
the debut show, I hope no one's gonna expect them to do a post show. It's like, okay, guys, go live at 6 a.m.
Oh my gosh, could you imagine? I mean, I don't know. Who knows? Ollie might want to because it may have if CM Punk does end up on it. He might just be like, well, I gotta talk about CM Punk. So.
That's right. If it is the CM Punk show, Ollie Davis will have to watch it.
I agree. I feel like he'll have to watch it. He'll have to cover it. The
witch's curse that was placed upon him when he launched his pro wrestling venture.
Exactly.
Was that he must forever follow the exploits of one chick magnet Punk.
Exactly.
So, yes. All right. However, we did not have any exploits of him tonight.
No.
Instead, we simply had, once again, what I felt was would have been a very entertaining house show.
Yes.
With some story there in the last 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's kind of where I am with it as well. Cause like it was a good show. I enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to watch, but I feel like it definitely would have been more fun to just be there live because it didn't. Stuff happened, but nothing happened, if you get what I mean.
Yes. So, we started off this week, shockingly, not with Orange Cassidy.
It's actually been like 2 weeks in a row because we didn't end up talking about last week's episode, but that one also didn't start off with Orange Cassidy, which I was really surprised by. I really thought they were going to like really burn that into the ground and just keep doing it over and over again, but they've kind of backed off. They're still playing up his injury, but
anyway, but instead, we'll get to
sorry. Yes, I'm jumping ahead. I am completely jumping ahead. We didn't start with Orange Cassidy.
Instead, we kicked off with the man that is going to seduce your mom, Christian Cage, coming out.
True? That is like it's a perfect tagline for him.
I mean, like, what else you got really to describe that?
It's perfect. It's absolutely perfect.
He is the single and ready to mingle local librarian that works at the college. You don't want to know why he left his last job. All you need to know is he has a fresh Facebook account.
Yes, perfect. Right. And he has a giant pet dinosaur.
Yes. So they ended up confronting each other. I will admit that once they end up so Wardlow ended up being confronted by Christian Cage in the center of the ring to sort of kick off tonight's show. I will admit, I know there is currently some legal issues going on with Luchasaurus and the design of his mask and a few other things. But I think he's looking badass.
Oh my god. Okay, so I sadly do not care at all about this storyline because for some reason I just can't get into anything that involves Christian Cage, which I feel really bad about because I actually like Christian Cage. This character
your mother
does not work
certainly
for me.
can, so maybe you should, for her, try to care, Angela.
Okay, well, I will try. But what I will say is I really love...
Do it for Martha.
You're right. I will need to do it for Martha. Okay, I do like, however, Luchasaurus's look right now. I had it I knew that he was having legal trouble. I wasn't sure if that had been resolved or not because he has the new look. I thought that was part of why they had switched over to this like black and red design with the spiky shoulder and everything, was to just like try to define it differently from what his old stuff was, but still.
There is, but I think the problem is they're still selling toys with the old one and stuff like that.
Ah, okay. I
The
wasn't sure.
video game will have the original design, that sort of thing.
Got it. Got it. Okay, that does make sense. That is unfortunate because that might be
For those
holding
who
this.
aren't aware, the original costume designer who designed Luchasaurus's mask has some potential legal concerns regarding the usage of that mask, because my understanding as not a lawyer is that she signed, I think it's a woman, the rights to the mask for performances,
but not for merchandise.
I don't think so far as action figures, or at least that's what they're claiming.
Got it. Got it. I mean,
And
that does
so
make sense. I
that
know
in the
people
video
have
game,
had
it's
the
similar
same.
to Randy Orton and his tattoos.
I was actually just going to bring that up. I was going to say, I know that there's been other wrestlers who've had similar issues when it comes to their figures, like Orton with his tattoo artist. And that makes sense. I mean, there is a certain copyright that the original designer would hold over the design being used in other or media and everything. So I get it. It's unfortunate that he's going through that right now. I hope he doesn't end up like losing the mask entirely or anything, because it is a really neat look. And the current like I am a goth dinosaur with red and black and like just this really cool spiky shoulder piece is just amazing to me. It's my favorite part about any of this.
So this segment ended up ending once we had a bit of a scuffle between Luchasaurus and Wardlow. It looked like Wardlow was starting to get the upper hand. However, that was before Captain Seduce Your Mom came along and low blowed him.
Yep.
So following, let's see. Was it him or actually or Luchasaurus who hit him with the low blow? I can't remember.
I think it was Christian.
Okay.
I think Christian, because I think Luchasaurus like had come in, the ref was like, what the hell? And then
yeah, because Luchasaurus ended up picking up Wardlow, and I either nastily folded him through a ladder or it was an aluminum foil ladder.
Yeah, because the ladder just crinkled and had this giant like V dent into it that Christian Cage eventually like flipped it over, stomped on it a few times to straighten it before they like, I think, power bombed Wardlow onto it, or one of Christian's moves actually, because I think Christian did the finishing blow to Wardlow onto the ladder, but like he had to flatten the thing out.
Absolutely. And so because of that bit with the ladder, we have set up their match at the pay-per-view, which is now going to be a ladder match. I'm excited for I feel like we don't see many one-on-one ladder matches.
I don't feel like we get a lot of one-on-one ladder matches either, and it is Christian Cage, so he's gonna probably do absolutely amazing in this because he has a long history with ladder matches, so he's probably going to be relatively comfortable with it.
And Wardlow's a good, strong, like, base for, I'm just suspecting he can probably take a loud, smack with a ladder.
Yes.
And then, kind of shrug it off. So I think it'll make for a good match.
Also, Wardlow has had, I think, at least one or two ladder matches himself, so he's not going to be completely green going into this either.
Yes. But all in all, are you more excited? I mean, you said you don't care at all for this storyline, but maybe are you a little bit more excited now that it's like going to be a ladder match? Or does that do anything
that's
for you?
That's the weird thing. I've enjoyed the matches that have happened in this storyline. Like even the match previously when this storyline involved Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus and Christian Cage, like I liked the matches that happen with it. I just don't care about the actual narrative that is driving those matches forward. So, like, yeah, I'm excited for the ladder match. I'm excited to see Christian Cage in his element going against an absolute powerhouse that is Wardlow, whom I do actually really also like. I feel like he's kind of tanked since the debacle that was him and MJF's falling out and everything that happened around that. Like, I don't know, he just hasn't felt the same since then. And so while the match I think I'm going to be very hyped for, the actual plot and why it's happening, I'm just like, it could just be a random, no other reason, just they wanted to tussle, and I would be fine with it.
Fair enough. All right. But here's the thing, Angela.
Yes.
We actually had the first match of the night.
Oh my gosh, we did.
And you know who was in it?
Orange Cassidy.
Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin versus Lee Moriarty and Big Bill.
Big Bill.
Yes. This was a absolutely fine face versus heel match. Obviously, I think that there were sort of the two focuses of this match tonight were showcasing Darby Allin as a heroic, star before his upcoming main event.
Yep.
As well as, once again, highlighting, and we've talked about this every week, Orange Cassidy's deteriorating spinal column.
His just deteriorating everything, honestly. Like, Orange Cassidy is slowly just breaking, and that has been the story for the last, 6 weeks at least. And I think it's been working well. I will say, because this was a very fast-paced match. It did go for a decent amount of time, but, Moriarty was high-flying. Cassidy and Darby were also pretty high-flying. They also hit really hard. And then, of course, Big Bill was throwing people around and just being an absolute monster, which was great. And honestly, I really liked the pacing of this match. But my favorite part about it was the fact that they, I think, did a brilliant job of telling both Orange Cassidy and Darby's story with the two other opponents, and kept them very distinct, because we still really focused on the fact that, like you said, Orange Cassidy is injured. His back is achy, and
it's achy
like bakey. And he probably would love to take a break, but he's just got to keep going because that's the type of person he is. But they really put over the fact that he is still very much injured, in kayfabe. And then Darby definitely was going for the, I have to prove I'm an absolute badass. I am going to kick MJF's ass. I am going to, he even used, I think, MJF's, I don't remember if it was his submission hold or what, but he used one of his moves. And even talked about it later on commentary with Renee about how, it was intentional. He was calling him out, blah, blah, blah.
This felt like the most house show of house show matches.
Yeah.
Because once again, it's wait, okay, I know Orange Cassidy makes random friends with people, but is he randomly
friends with Darby Allin?
Is Darby Allin in chaos? And if Darby Allin is in chaos, is Sting in chaos? And if Sting is in chaos, can someone publish my fan fiction, my whatever kind of ship you would call it, involving Sting and Sue?
Yes. Somebody make that happen. Put it on fanfiction.net or something. Who knows? There might be already, for all we know. But you know what? I'm going to say in my heart, Darby Allin is part of Chaos, which means that Sting is, and therefore somewhere in some alternate universe, that fanfiction
Okada and Sting are now teammates, yes.
Yes, exactly.
But yeah, it made absolutely no sense. So I think that this is the match where Darby won with a overhead, a takeover. Or bleh. I am tripping all over myself right now. I apologize.
No problem.
In this match, did Darby not get the win with the overhead takedown?
Is that the one that MJF uses?
Yes.
Yes. Then yes, this is the one that he won that match with.
Yes, sending the message. Because remember, a year ago, when Darby and MJF wrestled.
Oh, yeah, that was specifically how he took him out.
MJF made a big point how he was going to beat him with it. He cheated and, beat him up with the ring. Then forced him into the move, and then pinned him. Yeah.
That's right. Sheldon is also saying that they're more likely to be in LIJ before Chaos.
Fair.
But yeah, no, that's exactly why he did that move, ended the match with it, to send a message to to MJF, which I do think well, at least according to a promo later by MJF, he does seem like he's getting a little worried.
Yes, because shortly ahead of all this, we did have a squash match with Sammy Guevara. Another man, there's a lot of focus on the pillars tonight. I guess that was the point of tonight. We're just showcasing the pillars, right?
Yeah, because we talked a lot about them. Sammy came out a couple times. Obviously, we had Darby in that match. Did Jungle Boy do anything tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. I think you were like getting dinner or something when that was
happening.
happening.
I may have. I did. Oh, that's right. Yes, I do think
he wrestled Roosh later on in the episode.
That's right. We'll get to that.
Yes. So Sammy defeated a local talent named Exodus Prime. Great name.
Yes.
No other opinions about his wrestling. However, he was taken out with the Go to Hell, which does always make you go, is that a hint? Does that mean CM Punk is here?
That's true.
Because the GTH
no, that makes sense. That makes sense. I actually hadn't even put that together, but you're right. I wonder, was he backstage?
You're like, this person just used CM Punk's finisher in the middle of the ring. It means nothing.
It means nothing.
So I think Sammy gave possibly his best babyface live promo I've ever seen.
I agree. Sammy is one of those wrestlers that, in my opinion, especially when it comes to him being a babyface, he is very weak at giving promos, but he has slowly over time been improving, and I do think this is one of his best so far.
The problem Sammy always has on camera, on TV, is that his idea of a babyface is, or whatever he's been coached to be a babyface, is the most like, you can't give up on your dreams. You just believe in yourself, man, and you can strive for it, which, like, you watch his vlog, and he's a little more realistic about it.
Yeah, it's very weird, because he almost takes the John Cena never give up approach, but I'm like, Sammy, bro, friend, you're not John Cena. I don't even think you want to be, but, like...
The vlog's on a hiatus right now, but, like, in a lot of his episodes, when he does talk about life, like, he cuts much more believable.
Yes.
Like, heartfelt promos, and there's just something about, like, he's much better at talking to a cell phone than he is to a room of 10,000.
Yeah, maybe it's just, like, maybe that is his, like, holdback with, like, maybe he has some stage fright for live audiences, but he's just comfortable with the lens being in between. That could be the thing that throws him off.
And once again, I guess, like, his turn was all the stuff with MJF, but considering, like, it wasn't like he was a face who was working with MJF because he needed money to, like, pay for his sister's surgery or something.
Yeah,
right?
There was no real, like, urgency.
He was just like, oh, you'll fucking pay me? All right, let's do this. And, like, suddenly, you know, the payday is gone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the guaranteed payday is gone. And he's like, well, now I'm going to become Gohan.
Yeah, which is...
It's like, you can't be Mr. Satan and Gohan. Sammy, to speak in a language you understand.
That's true. He would understand that. I mean, and that's, like, honestly a very good way to put it, because he was being a little bit Mr. Satan and just like, oh, cool, like, fat payday, sick. I'll of course do this dastardly deed.
Or you were trying to be Android 18 who took the payment from Mr. Satan to lose in the World Martial Arts Tournament in the final. But, like, she's still not a face.
Yeah, and you're also definitely not Android 18, Sammy.
No.
Like, Tay maybe. But, like, you are not.
Yeah, I can see it.
Yeah, right? She could totally pull it off. She's even got the blonde hair and everything. She'd have to cut it a little shorter.
You know Sammy's been trying to get her to.
I honestly would be shocked if she hadn't. She's done some other...
She seems a little hesitant around some of the nerd shit.
I guess that's true. I don't know. She's done other, like, Dragon Ball Z cosplay with him, so I didn't know if maybe, like, her actually being able to dress up in a chick...
Goku, so maybe.
Yeah. And I mean, like, 18's in freaking jeans. Like, if you just are doing, like, straight up cosplay of her.
I mean, yeah, true enough.
Like, it'd be fine. It'd be totally, like... What I'm saying is I hope Tay dresses up as 18 for both Sammy's sake and also mine. I would like to see that.
All right, continuing the house show. theme for the night. We had a face versus heel tag team. Angela and I have
Yes.
also been playing a lot of WWE 2K.
Oh my gosh,
Um,
yes.
the sim, the GM mode.
Yes, GM mode. Yes, we've been
My
playing
GM mode. That's what I was trying to think of. And we were playing my
2K23, the
GM
GM
mode, and
mode.
I've been thinking about it. Like, okay, so this point they needed to like build the feud from level 2 to 3, but they didn't really have a good storyline reason. So they're just like, just put the faces and the heels against one another.
Exactly. Make it a triple threat. Although it ended up being just two people because I think originally this was announced to have um at least I was seeing at the top of the article that we're looking at
Was
that
originally supposed to have
I
Saraya
think it was
and
supposed to have I think it was supposed to be Saraya and
Hater.
then Tony or in Jamie
Hater.
Hayter was supposed to be about it because it says trios match: Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter, Hikaru Shida versus the Outcasts. So I do think
Yes,
originally
yes. Hater was taken out with injury, I think from a house show.
is that what happened? Because I was like, I hadn't heard that Hayter had been injured. I know she had been like a while ago, but like I thought she had fully recovered from that. So I was kind of surprised when I saw that after we had watched the match. Like I wasn't surprised during the match because I didn't remember who was going to be in it or anything like that. But afterwards reading that, I was like, oh, I wonder what happened to Jamie Hayter. I hope she's okay because I want her to be at the pay-per-view.
I think she will. I think it was just
Like a
a
minor
minor
thing.
injury that
Okay,
she
that's
picked
good.
up
That's
at a
good.
house show.
That makes sense.
Um,
This
because I
actually,
feel like this would have maybe been something more because it would have been the full 3-on-3 teams.
yes,
So with a fair fight, you'd kind of wonder what was the narrative going to be.
it also would have made the promo at the end by Tony Storm to me make a little bit more sense because I didn't realize that she was originally like that Jamie Hayter, the champion, was supposed to be in this match,
Yes.
which would then make it go, oh, it explains why, after the end when Tony Storm calls out Jamie Hayter and goes, "Hey, I want a match at the pay-per-view." Um because I thought it was kind of weird that she was doing that after this kind of match that had no champion involved in it. Like that was so strange to me, and it
And
makes way
that's
more
just what made it
sense.
feel a little house showy. It was like, oh look, the heels and the faces are fighting, and that's really all it was.
Absolutely.
The Outcasts won via, of course, shenanigans
Yep.
and having the numbers advantage. Do you feel that it leveled up the rivalry? This feels like it needs to be a gimmick match at the next pay-per-view. I just don't want it to be a 3-on-3 tag.
Oh, I don't think it is going to be a 3-on-3 tag. I think it was announced that it's going to be one-on-one Tony Storm versus Jamie Hayter at the pay-per-view, and I don't remember if it's a gimmick match or not, but I hope so because I agree. This definitely needs a gimmick.
What are the
Do I think
others
it leveled
doing then?
up the rivalry? If it had happened correctly, yes. As it stands, no. Like in my opinion.
Yeah,
Like
I don't
if
know.
if Jamie Hayter had actually been there, if she hadn't gotten injured, which I know is not like her fault or anything like that, so I'm not holding it against it. But like if I actually was like playing it by the games and if I was awarding it like score to be able to level up, I don't think I would have because she was taken out and the whole point would be her versus Tony. Like I assume her and Tony
I
were gonna have
love
a
all six of
sequence.
these women, and the fact that there isn't a better story other than the outcasts are evil
I know.
and wrestled at the other company, but we don't even really talk about that anymore because that was kind of cringe. So now it's just
They're Team Green
green is
versus
evil.
yeah.
Yeah. I'm
No,
because like just
I'm there with
because
you.
to just speak as like a total and utter dork here, like all six of these women are my waifus. Like they are
Yes.
awesome. And I'm just like, comparing it to another group versus group story that we'll talk about at the end of the
Hmm.
episode. I'm just like, couldn't there be something like the outcasts went and like attacked Hikaru Shida's, performance of her shonen
Yeah, her
stage
like
play
her
or
Super
something? I don't
Sentai
know.
stuff.
Just
Yeah.
looking for something beyond green bullies.
I agree. And this is the problem that I personally think a lot of women's storylines have. And it doesn't matter whether or not it is AEW or if it's WWE or like anywhere else. They just the women are so restricted to like two types of stories, and they're even still very similar, those two types, because it ends up being like, I had a best friend in you and now you have betrayed me and I'm coming for you because of it. Like that is like 80% of them. And then the other like 20% are these group feuds where it's just that team's evil and a bully because we treat this like it's high school, and that is going to, and then where they're bullying these people, and so these other groups are going to be the faces and team up together to beat up the bullies. And that's all, like that's the only stories they really seem like they're allowed to be told. And I don't get it, because I feel like there are plenty of things that you see happen in like men's storytelling that involve like even just like simple things like backstabbing to get a bigger paycheck, or like to steal a championship, like really basic shit like that, they still don't do very often. It always is more so about how someone betrayed someone, and hearts are broken because friendship. And it bothers me.
Yeah.
Also, we had asked in chat, who do we think is winning between Tony Storm and Jamie Hayter at the paper?
Honestly, depends on how bad Hayter's actually injured. If Hayter's more injured than has been let on, then I could see Tony picking the belt back up. I feel like they want Hayter to continue to be more the face of their division.
And I think right now, because she is a face against Tony Storm and the Outcasts, I think they want to keep that on her for a little bit. I think they like having this face championship for their women. Especially since they have, actually, I'm going to actually double down on that, because I definitely do not think MJF is going to be losing at the pay-per-view. And if he does, my mind will be blown. But my expectation is that he's going to retain through shenanigans of some variety.
So you think this one's going to change?
Do what?
So you think this one's going to change?
No, I think this one is also going to stay the same, because I think we're going to have other belts change. But I think this one's going to stay on a face.
So do you think it's going to be, do you think Wardlow's dropping the title to Christian?
I actually think so, yes.
You know, it's as weird as it is, that would make sense, that would explain, not give a good reason, but it would explain why Hobbs lost that title so quick. Is for some reason they wanted to give it to Christian, and they didn't want Hobbs
to
as a
lose
heel.
To Christian, yeah.
To drop, because heel versus heel.
Yes,
basically.
Exactly. I genuinely actually think that is the reason, and I do think that Wardlow, because he's not really doing anything with it right now. Like,
very
no offense, he feels super transitional to me. So I think he's gonna drop it to Christian. I think Christian's gonna have it, give it a little bit of elevation because he's a legend. So I expect him to maybe have it for a little while, but also to still maybe be a little bit of a transitional heel, to then drop it to somebody else. I don't know whom, but that's my expectation. Maybe Jungle Boy, actually. Actually, yes. I think it might actually end up going to Christian for him to then drop it to Jungle Boy, because Jungle Boy will finally get like full revenge and take something from Christian in the end of it. And because I don't think Jungle Boy's winning, because again, I think MJF is. And of everybody in the grouping to go after MJF as like a singles, like separately, still, I think it's more likely to be Sammy or Darby, and less likely Jungle Boy. But I also kind of find Jungle Boy's character boring, so that might be just my bias talking.
It's for a title that's supposed to build new stars, not...
I mean, you're not wrong.
Hall of Fame age gentlemen, but...
That's true. That is true. I didn't take that into consideration.
We'll see what happens.
But again, if he does end up
we
being
have talked too much about...
So, you're right.
For someone who claims they don't give a damn about the Christian Cage Wardlow story, you seem to care a lot.
I'm just angry that it doesn't seem to make sense.
Now for what I think was match of the night, the Falls Count Anywhere match between Adam Cole and I'm sorry, not Adam Cole, Chris Jericho and Roderick Strong with Adam Cole and the JAS band from the building. I am reading those words verbatim from the image. Band
Yes,
from the building.
banned from the building.
I loved this match.
I also loved this match. Why this match was not the main event, I
Because
question.
they didn't because it didn't end in the arena in front of the crowd, and you don't want to
Oh
end
yeah, you're right.
away from the crowd.
Can I assume they would still have the Don Callis thing be at the end, so I feel like that would bring people back in anyways. But I get your point. I get your point. I still
Hmm.
think this was the best match of the night for sure.
Yes. So basically, I am a sucker for a backstage brawl.
Yes, me too.
So let me make it clear. I'm not trying to argue that this was actually like good wrestling. I'm just trying to argue I was very sports entertained by this match. Because sue me, I grew up in that era of like, Austin chucking things into the river, stuff like that, right?
Yep, exactly.
So the fact that Roderick Strong and Chris Jericho fought their way through the arena to a really cool,
Stairwell, like
stairwell.
yeah, it was a
Yeah,
really neat stairwell where they got some great shots. Like I can't wait to see photos from that segment because they ended up on this like outcropping platform that had this cool logo and stuff behind it of the arena. So great for, their product placement for the space that they were in, as well as just it looking rad in regards to what Jericho and Roderick were doing. But it was definitely safe because they had a little section that they could end up getting thrown into that was
yeah. There was
enclosed
no
on.
threat of them like plummeting down the stairs or nothing.
Exactly. Zero threat of them plummeting down the stairs. Like at most they would fall like a few feet and it would like I don't even yeah, probably like a few feet and get maybe a little banged up, but I don't think there would be like any concern for serious
And the
serious
arena
injury.
got some great shots for their own social media, so good for them.
Exactly. Yeah, no, it was great and it was a really fun spot and the energy was just great in this. Also Jericho's poor chest.
Oh, the chops.
There were so many chops, and like very early into the match, his chest was red, and then like shortly after that, he was like bleeding from it. It was intense.
Indeed. So they ended up fighting their way out of that stairwell. They ended up fighting their way through the arena, like with a glorious shot of like a crowd of a few hundred people, like being held by security, but sort of marching along maybe like 20 feet behind the
Oh yeah, it was
fight.
great. They looked like they were in a parade. It was fantastic.
It really was. So they end up getting outside the arena, and as we know, Adam Cole has made it his life's mission to put an end to Chris Jericho for basically the jokes about his wife.
Yep.
Yep. And as he was banned from the building, he simply waited outside of the building for honestly a pretty nasty, like a very like nasty, and by that I mean good looking like running knee.
Yeah, it ended up like the outside section where Adam Cole was hanging out for Roderick to bring Jericho there was really well done.
Hmm.
They like even still had a small crowd outside. It was not nearly as big as what was following them around the arena, which again, just kudos to how security was managing the masses around them because there were some points where they were like in a very narrow like section of open space and there were bodies just surrounding them on all
They were
sides.
well planned out. It was very well
Yeah, it
planned
was
out.
really well done. Like again, it's why I'm like I wish this had been the main event because it just had so much good stuff happening in it and it just ended on such a high note.
Hmm.
With, Adam Cole helping Roderick take out Jericho, giving him the pin. Which was just awesome. I don't know. Jericho is one of my favorite wrestlers. He just is so good. And honestly, Roderick just can we say kudos to him for being here for 2 weeks and already fighting Jericho? Like already being in
Jericho, I
a
feel
major
like
one-on-one feud with Chris Jericho.
I don't know if it's a feud. I feel like Jericho is serving somewhat of a gatekeeper role right now in the
Mm,
company. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You come in, you get the resume material of facing Chris Jericho, but also Chris Jericho is somewhat bulletproof.
yeah.
of he can lose most of his matches but still beat Chris
Oh
Jericho.
yeah, yeah. You're not gonna tarnish the goat.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
So
I see what you're saying. I guess I can totally agree with that. And he is
but so
playing a little bit
I
of
think
that.
it's good. It's just I am curious to see where it's going. I assume we're gonna see Adam Cole and Roderick Strong versus Chris Jericho and
Sammy after he loses
well
to
no, but who at the
rebound.
pay-per-view though? At the
Oh yeah, because it
pay-per-view.
would be at the pay per view. Well, it might
And
just be Adam
Taker's
Cole
not really
versus
wrestling
Jericho at the
right
pay per
now.
view, for all we know.
Yeah, I guess Roderick just might be friend.
Yeah, I mean might just have been doing this actually. Now that you say that, because you were saying that this was all because Adam Cole was pissed off at Jericho for the comments about his wife and everything.
And the t-shirt.
Or sorry, the T-shirt about his wife. Yeah, exactly. So, um, it might end up just being Adam Cole versus Jericho in the pay per view, and then they might do something afterwards with Sammy. I can see that happening potentially.
Yeah, the sex gods could return, but Sammy's a face right now.
Yeah, I don't know. I assume he's gonna betray Darby and Jungle Boy
Maybe
in
he'll
some.
still take the payoff. I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, maybe that's what's gonna happen. I don't
And
really
he'll
know what's
teach
going on with
children to
that.
not believe in your dreams. Believe in the paycheck.
Believe in the paycheck.
Right. All right. Following that, a match that has completely disappeared from Angela's brain, we had Jungle Boy Jack Perry versus Roosh in a competent match where I think the standout was actually Jose the assistant.
Yes, because this is the one where he put in the cord, correct? He like threw him
Yeah,
a
he put in
cord.
the cord, but he was also like he was really chewing up the scenery in the background. Like Jose got his hands on a Roosh is greater than Jungle Boy sign. He's
Oh,
having way too
nice.
much fun with it.
Okay, I don't remember what I was doing during this match, but I think I missed some of it. That does sound fun, and honestly, like I from what I've seen of Rush's matches, because I hadn't followed his career like super heavily until he had come to the AEW, like
Mhm.
he's always good. And I mean Jungle Boy's always good. I just find him boring.
So it was interesting because during the match, Roosh pissed off the referee.
Okay.
And because of that, when Jungle Boy ended up pinning Roosh, Jungle Boy was very obviously cheating. He had a fistful of tights, and the announcers called it out.
Mm,
And I would even say that the ref probably saw it, but because the ref was in a bad mood with Roosh, they allowed it.
yeah.
But Jungle Boy's cheating again.
Do you think that is really them trying to hammer home some foreshadowing that he's going to cheat during do you think he's going to make a deal with MJF?
I think he might.
Oh my god, I hadn't actually considered that. That would be the most interesting thing he could do. Cuz
Because
I
like
like
he's not that. I'm sorry, Jungle Boy on the mic as Jack Perry. I just
he's a boring face.
and I could see him being real snippy.
I want to see him as a heel. Like that is the
Mhm.
thing that has made me go, "Please, Jack Perry, just be a heel so
He
that
seems
I
like
can
he's
actually
simmering.
like you." Because right now, as a face, I think you're boring and bland. And like, I know you're trying to not be. I saw an interview. I don't remember who it was with. It might have been
Simon
Renee.
Miller.
Was it? Oh, that's right. It was Simon Miller. It was with Simon Miller. It was an interview with Jungle Boy, and he was talking about how he didn't want to be like loud and in your face like a lot of other like superstars are. And I'm like, but you're a pro wrestler. Like, I don't know. You
No one
gotta have some
remembers the
energy, bro.
quiet pro wrestler except for Kane.
Right. And like, it's true. So like, but seeing him as a heel, I've never seen that, and I feel like he might be really good at it. He doesn't like he's got the brow, I think, also for being a really like heel, like a very
Well, it's
angry.
also like he's got that like I think he could have that Christian like kind of like smarmy bitch attitude.
Do you think he's gonna like he'll bond with MJF? He'll make a deal with MJF, help MJF win, and then like go to Christian Cage afterwards and rejoin, but they're all gonna be heels finally?
Okay, I will be honest. A super faction of Christian, MJF, Jungle Boy, and Luchasaurus with like the TNT heavyweight and tag titles to do that for like a month.
That would be cool.
That could be nasty too. Like, for whatever face faction we want to, just I'm just thinking about like that could be a good gang war.
That could, and I would love for them because they like all of them are okay with wearing suits. So if they could just do like a mafioso thing, I'd be fine with that. MJF is like the Don, and then very cliche, but I feel like it would work.
All right. So the next up is the quote unquote main event for the night. I felt like this landed kind of weirdly. We had Absolute Ricky Starks versus Jay White, Switchblade Jay White, and I forgot that Starks was in his hometown.
Oh, is that why he was the main event with this match?
Well, no, he's from Louisiana.
He's from yeah, no, he's from Louisiana. They weren't in
Yeah.
Louisiana, were they?
Let's see. I don't think so.
Um,
He was born in New Orleans.
no, they were in Austin, Texas.
He lives in Austin now.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Okay, well,
I think
outside,
that's
I
what
mean,
it
like,
is.
this was a weird main event for me because again, a kind of a match and a feud where I'm like, this is fine, but I'm not actually invested in this. Nothing that has happened about this has made me want to go, yes, I'm invested. And I feel bad about that because I think Ricky Starks and Switchblade and even Juice Robinson are all fantastic wrestlers. I should be invested in them. They're all badasses, and I just am not. But it was so this was technically the main event match of the night.
It was. And
And
so just to clarify what I was saying, I was
yes,
right. He's born and billed as being from New Orleans.
but he lives in Austin.
But he lives in Austin for like booking purposes, yes.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense. So that explains also why, like, because like the crowd was into this match. Like they were pretty hot for this.
But they were also way hotter for Jay White than they were for Ricky.
Which I thought was interesting. I mean, maybe it's because Ricky is like billed as from New Orleans, isn't he, normally?
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what I just said.
Yeah,
But,
that's what I thought. That's what I thought. I was like, no, you said that he was billed from New Orleans. So maybe maybe they feel betrayed.
that might be true. But yeah, so in this match, it was interesting because Juice Robinson gets involved, ends up kind of Eddie Guerreroing it a little bit by pissing off Ricky, causing Ricky to pick up a steel chair, and just immediately in front of the ref twice, like just smack Jay White with it.
Yep.
For just a blatant disqualification.
Mm-hmm.
And
Hello?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Okay,
I think
sorry.
you cut out for just a second. Sorry about that.
Oh, sorry. And I was just saying, this was the main event?
I know! You had a main event DQ with a DQ finish. Like, come on. No. You don't do that. And I agree, Sheldon was saying that this feud isn't good for either man because neither Jay or Ricky can really afford to lose right now. And I'm kind of in agreement with that. I do actually think both men should be winning. And the fact that, I mean, that's partially, I think, why they did this DQ finish is because they didn't want to have either of them lose explicitly. But if you've gotten to that point in your feud where you're having to do DQ finishes on your main event, even if you have additional big stuff that's going to happen right after it, then maybe you shouldn't be having that feud because that's not, in my opinion, a good way to ever end a match of that caliber.
And I know the obvious answer here is probably just honor.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also like, okay, but what are we fighting about?
Yeah, I don't actually know what they're fighting for.
It's like, okay, if Ricky Starks pins Jay White, what does Ricky get? If Jay pins Ricky, what does he get? Like,
yeah, is there actually a stipulation or like stakes?
I think it's just a pissing match.
And that's why I'm like, I don't care. And also why I was outside of now knowing that, Ricky Starks is from Austin, it made me go, well, why is this the main event and not well, originally the Jericho.
I'm sorry, the crowd was chanting for Switchblade and
They were
then
saying Ricky
countering chanting
sucks.
with Ricky sucks. It was like, let's go Switchblade,
Ricky
Ricky
sucks.
sucks. And it's like, okay, that's probably not what Ricky wants to be hearing right now.
Yeah, no, probably not. It really, really does not want to. He probably does not want to be hearing that. And again, that's one of the shitty things is because they've been doing so much for so many months to try to build Ricky up as like this dude who actually can accomplish the things that he keeps saying that he can do, and he has yet to do it. And I
Yeah.
don't really want to see him turn into like Ty Dillinger in NXT back when he couldn't win anything when with his 10 gimmick.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like I feel like that's kind of unfortunately a little bit the path that Ricky Starks feels like he's on right now is this perpetual point where everybody wants to see him do really well. Everybody understands that he's this fantastic wrestler and should be doing more, or should like be winning bigger matches or having a belt of some variety, but they just don't actually have a good place to fit him in because there's too many other people who also deserve that and are just a little bit more charismatic or have a little bit of a more interesting character or something, or slightly better just feud opportunities. And it kind of sucks to see.
Boys, just get free. I don't know
Yeah, I
what
don't know what to do.
lower mid card vortex you found yourselves in, but dear God, somebody go like, where's the FTW title?
Yeah, what
Hook?
like
Where's Hook? Somebody send Hook. We need
what
Hook in
has
this
Hook
feud.
been doing? Because he hasn't been on recently. Has he been doing stuff with FTW on like
Rampage? I don't
Rampage
know.
or Ring of Honor or something
I
else
don't
that
think
I
he's
don't
on Ring
watch?
of Honor, but maybe. All right, moving on from that, let's talk about the what I thought was the most exciting part of the night that wasn't the match between Jericho and Roderick Strong, and that was an explanation of
Why?
why. Why?
Why?
From Don Callis. Why did he stab Kenneth Omega in the head with a screwdriver? Why did he betray his quote unquote family?
It's true.
And what did we learn, Angela?
We learned that Don Callis didn't want to talk about why. He just wanted to talk about what Kenny had done to him, about how Kenny had let him get injured, and how he had done all these things for Kenny, and Kenny hadn't protected him. So it's Kenny's fault that he betrayed him because he didn't protect Don Callis.
True, it's true. So now he's gonna have no one protecting him, I guess. So now he'll be
Well, it's
extra
interesting.
vulnerable. But I'm not gonna argue with Don Callis. He is a smarter man than
It's
I.
true.
Have you seen the sunglasses he wears?
I have. They
So
are actually really glorious. I love that they match the rose that he puts on his lapel and also brings out the pink in his lips. I don't know. There's just something about this particular photo of like the card of him saying, "We will hear from Don Callis," where his
yes,
lips are
his
just very pronounced.
AEW like standard image is one hell of a thing.
I think he's duck facing a little bit, is
He
why.
is. He is. It's not a little.
Okay, he's duck facing.
Yeah. So to this, Kenny Omega's music hits. Kenny Omega just charges out full professional wrestling style. However, the multitude of armed security, not armed,
Yes.
the multitude of security guards
Could you imagine if they
brought
were
by.
actually armed? Then people
They
really
had
wouldn't storm the
arms,
ring.
one could argue.
You know what? You're
They were all, of
fair.
course, local talent wrestlers. Helped slow down Omega long enough for the Blackpool Combat Club to come out from the back.
Who I
This is,
actually think is who is actually protecting Don Callis.
oh,
I do
of
think there's
course
an
they are.
alliance
That Don
there.
was on the phone last week after he attacked Omega, and who he had to be talking to the Blackpool
Yeah,
Combat
I don't
Club.
know whom in there in like because like you know it could be true. Daniel Bryanson could be saying the truth last week where he said he had no idea that Don was going to betray Omega. It could be a thing between him and Mox.
Yeah.
Like it could end up being one of those things of like one party of BBC contacted Don to help betray, but like it ended up just working out brilliantly for everybody.
Sorry, you cut out there for me. What did you say?
Oh, I was just saying it could be that like one person from the Blackpool Combat Club actually contacted Don Callis, and it just happened to work out really well for the entire group that happened, and but the other people
Well,
aren't
it would
aware
be
of it.
Brian Danielson. Let's be realistic here.
It would be. He's completely pulling our leg on that. You're probably right.
I definitely think so. But as they beat down Kenneth, the music for the Young Bucks hit.
Yes.
And they come out to a very large pop,
Limping
but
a little bit because they did
yeah, they got assaulted by the Blackpool Combat Club earlier in the night.
Yep.
When they got asked questions about what they were going to be doing with the Don Callis situation.
Exactly.
So they came out, and before they rushed the ring, because once again, still a numbers advantage for the Blackpool Combat Club. Everyone knew it was coming. Everyone's been waiting for it. Being the Elite has been building to it for like 70 episodes.
Oh my god, they really have.
Hangman, Adam Page's music hits. He has betrayed the Dark Order. He has left them.
No, poor Dark Order. Everybody
And now
betrays them.
sporting a badass new eye patch.
Yep.
He ended up taking a barbed wire covered broom from the cleaner, and they charged the Blackpool Combat Club for the cool end of episode beatdown between the big faces and the heels, ending with Hangman Page taking the microphone to explain what, Angela?
That they are the elite. The elite. The elite. The elite.
More importantly, at Double or Nothing, the Blackpool Combat Club will face the reformed Elite in an Anarchy in the Arena
Yes,
match.
an Anarchy in the Arena match. Honestly, I completely had forgotten. Not that actually forgotten, but I was really focused on them being back together and bros again, finally, because they've only been building up to that forever. But yes, they actually announced the Anarchy in the Arena match, which I love when they do these kinds of things because they're kind of the like pseudo cinematic matches. And it's going to be really fun.
They did.
I'm sure all of them will go through so many different tables and other objects that people should not go through.
Okay, here's a question.
Yes.
So the last time they did one of these, I don't know if it was an accident or not, but they played Jon Moxley's theme music the entire time, right?
Yes, I do remember that.
What music would you like them to play over the Blackpool Combat Club versus the Elite, Anarchy in the Arena? My answer is the Hater Rave.
What'd you say?
The Hater Rave.
Oh, the Hater Rave. That's a great call. Because that would be like a really good length. Because isn't that like almost a 30-minute like...
Yes.
Yeah, honestly, I'm going to be right there with you. Because I was trying to think of something that like wouldn't get really obnoxious being on like repeat.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't think of anybody else's like theme realistically who was like involved in the match whose theme wouldn't get really annoying to listen to. But the Hater Rave would be perfect because that's just a bunch of different people and includes some people from that match. So yes, perfect.
And with that, we finish the episode on a high note, I admit. One thing I did want to talk about from earlier in this episode that we skipped over entirely was after seeing some of the ongoing shenanigans with the other pillars, MJF was approached by Renee Paquette backstage and was asked sort of his feelings about the entire situation, and Maxwell smacked that microphone out of her hand.
Without saying a damn thing to her. It was actually a really great shot because you know how in WWE they always have the scenes where a wrestler is like craning their neck to look at the TV of where a match is happening.
Way too open. In this, the camera was positioned behind the TV.
It was perfect
so we actually
because
could see MJF.
Yes, you could fully see MJF. The light from the screen on the TV was casted in such a way that it really made him look more concerned than I even think like normal. It really kind of emphasized a little bit like any bags under his eyes, and I thought it worked perfectly. And then Renee walked up asks him a simple question. He refuses to answer, smacks the microphone violently out of her hand, which is perfect because Chaos Cultist and I were theorizing when this was happening while we were watching the match. We're like, okay, that is a really, really great way to draw Moxley into a feud post the Pillar feud with MJF. Because if Maxwell ends up continuing to harass Renee in such ways, never actually like hitting her or doing anything to her, but like knocking things out of her hands or just being rude to her, eventually Mox can be like, I really don't like the way that you've been treating my wife, bro. I am going to put you in the ground for that.
Yeah,
And then
Mox was
like
gonna
basically
try to
go into
kill
this
him.
great feud.
Yeah, I got like that seems inevitable because
Right?
like I'm shocked that MJF wasn't killed by the end of the episode.
I actually really was too. It's because Moxley is very focused right now on the elite. Like they are such a big target that he probably hasn't like really focused on what is going on between MJF and Renee. And I think that's what's going to be interesting about it. And I think that's why this is like going to be a little bit of a long-term thing. If we're going to keep seeing MJF potentially be just a jerk to Renee over and over again, and then slowly Mox will start picking up on it as either after they beat the elite
He'll
or they
bother to
lose.
actually watch an episode.
Yeah, exactly.
Because yeah, Renee won't actually tell him about
No,
it. She'll
no.
just take it as part of the job. But he'll like, because he doesn't have social media, no
Yep.
one will tell him that it happened
Yep.
or anything like that. So
Yeah, eventually he'll just go back and watch it and be like, hey, wait a minute, that prick. Like, and then he'll do something about it. And it'll be brilliant because I think MJF versus Moxley, we've seen before. Correct? The question mark?
oh yeah, remember
Yeah.
they had the entire feud where
Okay, that's what I thought.
Mox wasn't allowed to use the paradigm shift.
Yes. Okay, that's what I thought. I was like, I'm pretty sure they've had like a pretty substantial feud before, but bringing that back, I think would be very interesting post, Blackpool Combat Club wrapping up their stuff with the Elite and MJF wrapping up this stuff with the Pillars.
Yeah.
Yep.
That'll probably be. I mean, that I could see that being immediately after.
Yeah, that's what I expect him to jump into to like lead into like the next pay-per-view or whatever. Because they've been doing the Pillar stuff for so long now, and I definitely could see potential places for Jungle Boy and Sammy and even Darby to go for other things afterwards, and then maybe come back to Mox or come back to MJF like later, closer to what is their All Out? Is that their like WrestleMania equivalent?
Well, All In's gonna be Wembley.
Right, that's right. So yeah, like whatever the next like big pay-per-view, maybe after that or something.
I was like, Wembley's the next big one.
Yeah, but I don't think it's
Moxley versus MJF could be it.
That's true. I mean, that would be a hell of a main event.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. All in all, I thought this was not as good as last week's episode, but
No.
it was like I said, it felt like a fun house show episode to me.
Yes. I am right there with you. Of a lot of things that happen on here were still fun. I just don't really feel like too many things really moved forward, but we're leading into a pay-per-view and we're kind of in that in-between period before they really just like throw everything and kick stuff off going into that pay-per-view. We're kind of like in that mid-period.
Yes.
All right. Well, I think that is going to be it then for our discussion today. Thank you so much, Chaos Cultist, for joining me today. It was, as
My
always,
pleasure.
very lovely talking to you about some pro wrestling. Thank you to everybody in chat for hanging out with us as well, John and Sheldon, and I believe there was who else did we have in here? The Nightman Nemeth, and I think Merkion was here as well, or Mercarion. I can't remember if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, and now I can't find your posts, so I do apologize about that. But thank you to everybody that joined us, and if you're watching this later on YouTube, thank you so much for that as well. Make sure to hit that like button if you enjoyed this, to subscribe for more if you want to catch it, and hit that bell icon for notifications so you never miss any future content. Let's see, to just sign us off and everything, we do have a little bit of a very cool live stream actually on Friday. I'm going to be unboxing. I don't have them in here. I can't show you
No, you don't.
specifically, but I am going to be unboxing the Joy Toy action figures I was sent. We've got some Custodes as well as some Sisters of Battle, so be looking forward to that on Friday. I don't know what we're doing yet on Saturday for a stream, but we will have something. And yeah, next week is looking pretty cool because Warhammer Skulls event just got announced, so I should be covering that at some point later next week after stuff has come out for it. And I'm looking forward to it because that's always fun to see what is coming for Warhammer in regards to their video game content. But yeah, be looking forward to that, and I will see you all next time. Do you want to say bye, Chaos Cultist? I'm going to stutter all over your name.
Bye, Chaos Cultist. I'm gonna stumble all over your name.
Oh, well, thank you for exactly repeating that. We have now started the process to summon an Eldritch Demon, and we should wrap that up. So, okay, it's already arrived. Goodbye, everybody. Thank you for stopping by.